I don't think anybody really saw the financial crisis come as fast as it did in 2008. And so, if you think about it, as you went into the summer, you could borrow money anywhere you wanted. And we had roughly a $500 million note. We turned down 2 different financing proposals because we thought the terms were not right. And then Lehman Brothers failed, and on and on and on, right? And within 45 days, the credit markets completely froze up. I mean, if you think about it, even back then, I think GE paid 16% to Warren Buffett for $4 billion of paper. So when the markets froze up, then it was all about liquidity. And look, Liberty, that's their deal. They love being in distressed environments, and we had 3 bidders on the proposal. They ended up being I think the best, and it's worked out great. It actually has worked out. I'm glad they made a lot of money.
But the idea of it going down to that sort of last minute was basically take the money or file bankruptcy.
Correct. I actually voted to file bankruptcy.
You did?
Yeah. Because, I think it would have been just a clean sweep. If you think about it, at that time, the stigma of bankruptcy was, General Motors filed bankruptcy, right? Ford came this close to filing bankruptcy. Chrysler actually did file bankruptcy, and Mercedes took it back out at the time. They've since obviously sold it to Peugeot, right? But in this day and age, who knows, right? I mean, we were afraid there would be a stigma with our customers, with our actual end users. These are the guys that went bankrupt, right? And so maybe I'm afraid to pay them because they might not be here next month. And that kind of ended up being the reason we didn't.
But you guys went on to be, so Sirius Satellite Radio is basically embedded in every new car. You're the only player for satellite radio, basically.
Correct.
And you guys went on to be an enormously successful business. How big is satellite radio relative to terrestrial radio? So,
terrestrial radio is still bigger probably in terms, one of the things that I've learned really well, free really works. Like if it's free, people tend to like free more than they do pay. We're by far the biggest pay in the U.S. So terrestrial radio has every day still probably about 70 million listeners, 60 or 70 million listeners. Sirius has every day about a little over 50 million listeners. That's about 35 million subscribers.
That's 20 years later.
Right.
Right, so it seems like slowly you guys are going to erode.
Right. We own Pandora. Pandora has about 40 million active listeners. And so what you get from this, people listen to, they don't just listen to one thing. They tend to listen to more. And then obviously, probably the fastest growth in the last 10 years has been Spotify in terms of what started out basically as a music service.
Is that going to be a successful model? This pay, it seems like the artists say you have to have 1 billion streams to make any money. Yeah, is it a successful model in your opinion?
I don't think so, no.
What do you think ultimately ends up being a successful model around streaming or around satellite?
So, a lesson I got taught young in life, and when I was in graduate school, I had this old professor, and he used to just hark on business models matter. Business models matter. And I wish I'd paid more attention when I was 23 than I would have today. But and his other favorite quote, I learned this one from John, is good management can fix poor performance, but good management can't fix a broken business model. And that's pretty much right, And so what I've learned is you want models that are highly scalable, that take, guts to get in.
Sure.
But once you scale them, they accrete very, very quickly. That's not the definition of the streaming business that Spotify's in. Today, the way the economics work, every dollar, by the way, the artists, look, if you're an artist singing here tonight, you're still saying you're not getting enough, right?
Right.
But basically the way it works, every dollar of revenue on the streaming side, about 72 cents goes to either the label, the artist, or the composer.
I wanted to talk about, I'm so fascinated with your career. I'm a gigantic fan of yours. One of the things that I was the most thrilled about, Indy, was meeting you. I've read a lot about what you've done over years. I think you're obviously a very intelligent guy, and you work for one of the most successful men in the world, and you're on one of the most successful boards, companies in the world, and that's Charter. And I'm a little lost in the whole debundling of the media business. You bought Pandora. I kind of did not understand that, but I assume that was because you wanted to have a streaming component. What does the future of this look like with Charter and streaming? I'm a little lost in how segmented, what Disney's having trouble with. It even seems like all the streamers are not making money except for Netflix.
Yeah, by the way, thanks for the compliments. You and I have had, I don't quite see myself as successful as you do. But anyway,
he's crazy. Absolutely.
So let me start with, I didn't buy Pandora for the streaming business, okay? I believe that, and all we got to do is look at our kids, whether our kids are in their teens, in their 20s, or still even in their 30s, right? And what's clear to me, and what we're seeing now in all forms of entertainment, we don't know how it's going to get monetized, right? Like, look, every kid out there will give every single person every bit of their personal information for free. It's like, it's shocking. It's shocking how much shit they'll give away about their own personal lives to be able to have, free, right? And I think one day they'll regret it. But I also think that inevitably this stuff can only get monetized three ways. One is subscriptions, which we've probably overdone a lot. There's a fatigue in the country today about, Jesus, how many more subscriptions am I going to have, right?
Right.
I hope a lot more, but we'll
Sure.
see. Second, and this is why I bought Pandora, is advertising. And Pandora had 1,000 people, sales force, doing, already established, doing $1.5 billion of $1.3 billion of advertising. So it was they were actually the biggest seller standalone, even bigger than Clear Channel at that time, which was the biggest terrestrial company. And then the third way is going to be somehow giving away your personal information or your personal things in exchange. And so to me, if you're going to be in a big media company, you better get good at all three, because you don't know which way they're going to go. You just don't know. And so you got to be able to be good at them. But what I know is 10 years from now, 50 years now, 100 years from now, people are going to listen to music. Okay? I know that.
Right.
Okay? 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now, people will listen to Tucker Carlson. They will listen to talk radio. Okay? I guarantee you they will. Howard Stern has written the book on this. Okay?
You wrote what I thought when you wrote that check. You wrote him a big check. People realize that you're in the room right now with the guy who wrote a massive check, and I presume you voted yes on that big check.
Did. Smartest money we ever spent.
Yeah.
$1 billion.
It's crazy. It's a crazy.
He's worth every penny.
Yeah. It's remarkable that you guys. But I want to ask about the second you did it, though. Did you know for sure in your mind, or were you like, I think it'll work?
So it's funny. I've learned a lot about, I'm a big believer in research, except I'm really, it's only taken me 65 years to realize that most of the time they'll answer however you want them to. So which is makes it a little less valuable. Yeah. So the research on Howard Stern was interesting. You do the research on the NFL, right? Everybody loves football. Okay.
Right.
So you do the research on the NFL. You get 100 million people in America who say, I love football. You get 80 million people in America who say, I can't stand it. I don't care. They just say, I don't care. Nobody says, I hate it, right? You do the research on Howard Stern, you get 90 million people who say, I cannot stand that man, okay? I cannot stand him, right? You get about 22 million who say, I can't get through the day without him. And when you're in a business model that charges for your product, that's the demand you want. You want people who are zealots about, I have to have that product, right? They never write to me, or they never call and say, the price is too high. Their complaint is, it's not on enough, or he's not doing enough, or why won't he come to my town, or this or that. And so I think, no, I was never worried about it. Back to your question on streaming. The streaming business has got real issues, and the issue is going to be exactly what I said. It's going to settle into some mix of, of subscription, advertising, and click, You know, give me your information and I'm willing to give you access to something for free, right? And when you look at like a Comcast or a Charter, huge, you know, we
Huge.
call them cable companies, they actually don't give a shit about cable anymore. What they really care about is selling you broadband.
Broadband.
Okay, and the reason is
It's a brilliant pivot, by the way. Just a brilliant pivot.
Man, I'm
Biblical.
telling you. And so when you know Netflix said, hey, you know, we're going to go compete with those shows that you wholesale, like HBO and all that. What those big broadband operators said, hey, wait a minute, that just means they're going to use my other product more, which I make twice as much money, and so have at it. And so, you know, that's how Roku, Apple TV, all that stuff just.
I saw your boss the other day talking about Disney, sell Disney, Disney gets sold, ESPN gets sold off to private equity, right?
Probably.
And when I heard him talk about Disney being sold, I was thinking, everything always changes. It's not ever the same. The idea that Disney could be sold off, and it could, maybe it's, I mean, obviously I think he's been pitching the idea that they should buy, well, anyways, the point is that the idea that someone like an Apple or someone would buy Disney is, although they don't usually do a lot of,
No, they don't.
They do a lot of deals.
They have all the
Right.
money they need, right?
Right, so they create them from within.
Yeah.
Everyone, this is Jim Meyer. Say hello, everybody, when you get a chance.
Thank you very much.
To Jim Meyer. Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.